Our next session is Gina Jackson OBE, the author of The Skills Crisis in the UK Games Sector. She's going to give us an update 6 months on from that sensational report. So please give a warm welcome to Gina.
It's at times like this you really wish you bought one of those 2 pairs of glasses that you have. I didn't bring either. Oh, and does that change? Oh, okay. So Emma had it on there so I could see it, and I thought I'd do the same, and now they've put it there and I can't see that far. So this is going to be fun. So I hope you've got some water because this is super dry, okay? So I'm going to try some jazz hands to make it feel a little bit more exciting, but this is data on data on data. Right, let's go. So I thank you for the lovely Michael, who's up there, who helped me to launch the Skills Report as part of London Games Festival. It took me a couple of years to create it. I did that through my consultancy called Skillful. I also, because there's no money in skills, have set up a company called Pitchify, which is trying to sort out the investment issue within games. So it's a marketplace for games developers to meet investors of all kinds. I still sit on the board of NextGen, which I helped to set up. I think that was 12 years ago. And recently created the Game Skills Alliance, which is a community of people. Emery's part of it, Sarah's part of it, all sorts of people are part of it, to talk about the game skills issues. We can just talk about it. We don't have to wait for anyone else to own our space. So if anyone wants to join that or be part of those conversations, do let me know. Right, what was the skills report? I'm going to make this a little bit more exciting than it was. So I analysed 10,000 individual job vacancies. I'd like to say thank you for all aligning what you call your jobs, because you didn't. But that information I bought from Colin and the work that he does with Games Jobs Live. And he still publishes that report. That came from 234 different games companies, and I believe that was all scraped off your website. I then presented that to 102 different people. Lots of people in this room came to those presentations. You were across 65 different companies and 7 support agencies. We did that at 9 regional roundtables. So I went to Middlesbrough and Belfast and Bristol and Liverpool and Manchester, all over the UK, to get you guys to sit in a room together. What shocked me most is most HR people did not know each other. I went into Liverpool, there were 2 people who were in the same building, who'd never had an opportunity to meet each other. Different companies, same organisation. It's terrifying. So I love this, Chris. Thank you for creating an environment where HR people can come together. If you haven't guessed already, I don't come from HR, I come from a games development background, but thank you for being so welcoming. So I put all of that information that you told me at the round tables and I came up with 11 key findings. I then thought, who's going to do these things? So I presented that back to 8 stakeholders, 3 of whom's names start with the word UK. So it was more looking at our national organisations and saying to them, who should be delivering these things? And they came back to me, all but one, and said, it should be delivered by a new body. And I went, brilliant, thanks. Who's going to pay for that? Anyway, let's move on. It was funded by 7 organisations. Big call out to Liz from Amicus. You were the first one to put the money in. Thank you very much. I couldn't have done it without your support. And you were also the first person to pay me. Makes a difference for freelancers if you pay people on time. I can't tell you the difference that makes. I was hosted by 9 companies, including 3 game studios, 2 universities, and an ad agency in Bristol. I was supported by 8 national and regional groups to spread the word, and I'll talk a little bit about those later on. Reviewed the data of 213 games employers. I look at Companies House a lot. I read all of the gender pay gap reports. They're my favourite. They're good. So here they are. This is what you came up with. So number 1, we need to establish an employer-led cross-sector skills body for games. Why? Because all the other things on that list, everyone said, well, that's not me. Oh, no, So that's why that came out number 1. We need to publish regular data. You can't do or get money from government unless you can prove there's a problem. You have to evidence it. But we have no evidence. So We also need to focus on the mid to senior roles. 7% of the jobs from 22 were for new entrants. But when I asked people what they did, it was all about new entrants roles. So let's focus on mid to senior roles too. Not exclusively, but just do it as well. We need to tackle the programming technical experience deficiency, okay? We can't take people from other industries because we don't pay them enough. Oh, Sarah, have I been really dull? That's all right, Hayley. So programming is a problem. We saw that if anyone came to the salary report, programming was an issue. Lots of different sorts of programming. Programming is still a problem. And it's the hardest one to solve and the one that we pull away from. Also, interestingly, in the data survey, we were talking about using their different seniority roles. Oh my God, I'm not even going to try and align what we call job roles. Let's just align the seniority adjective that we use, because everyone uses another one. Is an executive high or low? I know what a junior is. Is a junior a new entrant or not a new entrant? So just aligning what those things are. What are the behaviors that we expect to see at the different levels? Can we have something? We talked to a lot of HR people who said to us the problem bringing other people in from other companies is they have to step down a layer in their adjective, and that causes us massive problems. So if we want to have a talent pool that can work across different businesses, we have to have some level of alignment. I'm struggling to see without my glasses. Can we learn best practice from other sectors and other countries? So some of the benchmarking we saw on the salary was looking at other industries, but there are other creative industries and other tech industries that we can learn from. Things are happening, amazing things are happening across Europe and the rest of the world in the games industry. Oh my God, have you seen how much money Spain's putting in? I so want to move to Barcelona because they're going to look after my library card and my income tax. I'm down for both of those and I can work on the beach. But what are we doing? What can we understand? We know, for example, in the VFX industry, they used to take all of their people from France because they did a 5-year VFX course and it was amazing. So do we just look at ourselves in the UK or do we start looking further afield and be inspired by them? Apprenticeships, I'll come back to those, but we're paying a load of money into the levy and we're not using it because it doesn't work for us. So what can we do to sort that out? Because that, I hate the expression, is a lot of money left on the table. Hybrid and remote working, Perry's talking about that at a lovely round table now, but we've not solved it. We need to talk about it more. We need to share best practice on that. I need to edit this, monitor the impact of AI on skills. I mean generative AI. Thanks, Tommy, wherever Tommy is. There he is. But that's really about generative AI, but maybe AI in the bigger sense. What's the impact on the skills that we're teaching and what are we doing? And where's that going in the future? Our university courses or our training courses, how are that being impacted? What the kind of people? Do we need these prompt engineers? Where are they going to come from? How are we going to train them? And more importantly for me, how are we going to keep those in the UK? Our training ecosystem, we do have one. We just don't tell them what we want. And then we go, you don't really get us because we're special. We're not that special. We're just like any other sector, really. We just have to tell them what we want. And finally, it's something that we should own as employers in our sector. So I want to inspire everyone into think that this is something we own. It's not something that someone else should be doing for us. We can do it together. We're here in a room together. Most of us know each other. Why can't we sort out our own problems? So, 12 things. How many have we done in the 6 months since I released the report? But Gina, our house is on fire. Oh my God, there's so much stuff going on. We can't possibly have completed any of those things. Oh, and by the way, there's no money. Is there not? Is there no money? Okay, so we haven't completed any of them, but a whole load of work's been going on, and I just want to create a platform to talk about some of that work's going on, how you can get involved. So, I really need some of that water. I'm going to have to run and get some in a minute. So I love a bit of data, but it's really dry. So in the report, I talked about the 7.9 million that 64 companies paid into the apprenticeship levy in 22. 7.9 million. Imagine what I could do with that money. And we just gave it to Treasury. And then I know that Sumo have 12 apprenticeships. I know that other people have taken on a few here and there, but nowhere near 7.9 million. And just from the 24 companies that I've looked at over the last few weeks, that's 5.9 million going to Treasury that we're not spending. The reason it's 2029, 2023 and not 24, thank you, is because that's the live data on Companies House, where I spend a lot of my time. If we look at how much we grew in 22 compared to 23, back then it was 21.2%. In 23, it was still 6%. So it felt like the world was falling over, but it still appears there's some growth. Now, I'm really looking forward, or not looking forward to looking at the 24 figures to see where there's growth. I love the work you do, Chris, but bad news travels fast. Good news, less fast. And I think it would be really nice to understand the difference between where our growth is and where our redundancies are. The redundancies are really painful. We tend not to talk about the growth. So I'd just love to see that data. And let's talk about gender diversity. Wow, we were at 22.65% in 2020, what was that, 22, and now we're at 22%. Wow. Didn't people tell me that was just going to change when I was CEO of Women in Games in 2016? Oh, it's going to be amazing, Gina. Now there's all these amazing women. It's just going to change. Doesn't. I don't know. I've kind of given up on it now. I don't want to give up on it, but surely we can be better than 22%. Oh, that's really small. Should have brought my glasses. Right. So let's look at skills and data. I want to thank again Michael French for writing a bid to the BFI for a data dashboard and all those amazing companies that supported that bid that we put in. So Gamebridge up in Middlesbrough, Game Changers, Jamie's up there, Gameopolis in Manchester, Game Republic in York, London Games Festival, the National Video Games Museum, Next Gen, the guys in Norfolk, Northern Ireland, Norwich University of the Arts is like a reading test. Sarah from Safe in Our World, Brian from Scottish Games Network, and the University of Warwick through Claire. They all supported putting together a data dashboard where we would scrape and survey a whole bunch of data about skills. It would look at our dynamic workforce size, how it got bigger and smaller. We need to know where we're expanding and what regions in the UK that is happening. We need to understand how much money we're putting into the apprenticeship levy. When we go to government and say, where's our 6 million quid we can use on skills? But we don't know how much it is. And the person doing it at the moment is me in my office in Kingston. It's not very glam, but I think we need to get behind it. It's not a difficult piece of information. You have it, and most of that information is public. So we put together this great bid. We didn't get the money from the BFI, but that bid and that project still exists, and it just needs funding. So if anyone knows any funding, we can scale it either way. The idea was to put that data dashboard and embed it within those regional groups. It wasn't to own it, it's a shared resource, because you can't raise more money from these great government schemes unless you can prove there's a problem. So looking for more support on how we can fund that data piece. But there's a lot of work being done by a lot of individuals. So focusing on mid to senior roles, I want to call out some of the work the Game Republic and Next Gen have been doing with the Game Dev Studio startup. That's not graduate teams, those are experienced teams. Lots of people have been made redundant, coming together and putting new teams together. Mastered, Perry's doing the other thing at the moment, but she's trained over 300 mid to seniors from 30 studios in games and VFX. They are specializing in tech art, Houdini, and graphics programming. Houdini because it's great work for hire money. And you can increase the margins you're getting for work for hire, and that's going to keep your studio going. Michael and his team did the Game Changers Accelerator. The reason I know about that is I went on it with Pitchify. It was amazing. But he was teaching people about pitching, investment, and being investor ready. Those commercial skills are still missing. I can't tell you the exact skills gaps and shortages from the games industry that most other industries can tell you, because that data doesn't exist. I can tell you some of it because I fed all that data, all that analysis into a BFI report, but it's not good enough. We can do better stuff. So in 22, only 7% of those new entrants roles, or 7% of those job roles were new entrants. So I still think we need to shift our thinking to mid to seniors too. With the shift in AI that Tommy was talking about, a lot of those job roles are changing massively. We're an industry that changes constantly. We need to keep up with that. I don't know where we're going next. This is fun, isn't it? Best learning practices from other sectors and other countries. So I want to talk a little bit about the Good Work Review, DCMS and the PEC, so the Policy and Evidence Council, making it up. They're based in Newcastle. They wrote a report in February 23, and they came up with 4 priority areas and 16 recommendations. It's a riveting read. But they took that information from across the sectors, and then they've done a little bit more work where they're looking at accreditation, good work funding. So anyone who's taken money from UK Games Fund, maybe that is going to link in, maybe, I don't know, to good work review and an accreditation about whether your company shows good work. So Sarah's involved in that. They've asked me to be involved in that. I think it's an interesting piece because it goes across the whole of creative industries, and other people are defining for you what good work looks like in your company. Oh, yes. So if we can find a way of getting everyone else more involved in that so that we get to define as the most successful creative industry, rather than having other people define to us what that looks like. So, apprenticeships. So the new government have decided that we're no longer going to have the apprenticeship levy, we're going to have the growth and skills levy. I love this rebanding. But that does mean that there's likely to be a level of flexibility within the apprenticeship levy. So that at least 6 million, 7 million quid that's sat on the shelf in Treasury that no one's using, they're saying we're going to be a little bit more flexible. We have to deliver value for money. We have to meet the needs of business. So it's not just training providers deciding what that's going to be. And we have to unlock economic growth. So they've asked me to sit on that group. I really, really tried not to sit on that group because I'm sick of doing stuff for free. But they wouldn't replace me with anyone else. I wanted NextGen to go on there and they wouldn't let me. So I'm on there. Creative industries consultation has already started, and it's going to be the first sector. So if you want shorter training courses, not 2-year apprenticeships, if you want training without accreditation, if you want more control over what you're doing that as an organisation, we need to tell them, and we need to tell them fast. So tell me, Yuki also sit on that as well, tell them. We just need to get this aligned and making something that can work for us. It's really hard to get that to work within projects. I get that. It's really hard to get organisations to come together to make cohorts. It's really hard to find training providers who get us. We're a little bit special in that sense because we've never told them what we wanted. So it would be really nice to have some of that money go to support organisations for making that work. I love the fact that this government see the creative industries as the growth industries. I'm nearly done, I promise. Inspiring employer ownership. So I said, Jamie's up there already. They're doing amazing things in Liverpool City region. They've managed to get a huge amount of support from the city who are funding stuff. So Develop North is going up there. We're seeing how a local authority supported by employers can make massive change. So if you're in the region or you're in a region and you want to learn from what they're doing, the younger age group, so 5 to 18, Michelle Dow is focusing on that. If you want to understand what they can do in education pathways, so Phil from DT3 and Shirley from Lucid are doing that. Vocational training, so apprenticeships in particular. Master from NextGen, Phil's already here, or University Speaking, they're doing that. Skills development, so employers and training. Perry from Mastered, she's here. Alison Lacey, also doing. Jamie's also talking about doing a data piece. Yes, love a bit of data. So hopefully we can do a little bit more on that area as well. So Jamie's up there. He's almost wearing the same thing today. His lovely smiley face. Alison's not here, but she can be contacted. And my final slide is really about that employer ownership thing. NextGen run an employer steering group, and they have done for the last 10 years. That's where employers come together and tell NextGen what to do, which is remarkable because NextGen are a privately owned company, but they want to deliver for our industry. So they deliver for games, animation and VFX. So if you want to join the likes of Creative Assembly or Sumo or Rebellion or Playground or Microsoft or all those people in developing new qualifications or apprenticeships or training in other forms, or even we've delivered a whole bunch of training in prisons about how games can tell great stories. We do that with Prince's Trust. We do that with Hard to Reach Young People, but we'd love to have industry professionals as part of that. Phil is currently talking about apprenticeships, but that's also something that you can join in with. So thank you, but mainly thank you to all the people who are doing stuff. I just want to create a platform to amplify that everyone's doing a whole bunch of stuff. Contact me if you want to join the Game Skills Alliance. Again, contact me. I'm all over LinkedIn or on Discord. And that's about it. And I don't think I've left any time for questions. No. Thank you.